Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this presentation from the national headquarters of the Theosophical Society in America. My name is John Chianjosi. I am the Director of Public Programs, and I am very happy to be with you this evening. The Theosophical Society promotes study, meditation, and service. We encourage open-minded inquiry into the world religions, philosophy, science, and the arts. And we have a deep respect for the unity of all life. Our goal is to help people explore the spiritual path so as to arrive at a deeper understanding regarding the wisdom of the ages. Furthermore, we feel that this wisdom is not limited to any one tradition, and thus we offer programs from all the traditions. During this time of the pandemic, our national headquarters is closed to the public. However, we continue to bring you a large number of online programs, including our Thursday evening lecture series. Please do visit our website and scroll down under programs, and there you will find the full listing of classes and workshops that are coming up. I'm sure you will see some that will be of interest to you. One that I wish to mention in particular is the workshop Exploring Blavatsky's Diagram of Meditation with Pablo Sender, which is on Saturday, March 13th from 1 to 3:30 p.m. Pablo Sender is known to most people in the Theosophical Society, and he is a really wonderful teacher. Please consider joining him on Saturday. Now, for this evening's presentation, we are grateful to have Leslie Sann, who is the author of Life Happens, What Are You Going to Do About It? And the newly published Calm Down, Lift Up. Leslie has been guiding people in adopting a practical spiritual approach to living, while creating a life they love. For more than 30 years, her career has been rich with helping people transform their lives, neutralizing the misery-making mechanism of their minds into a tool that fosters joy and well-being. And tonight she will speak on Calm Down, Lift Up, Tools to Thrive During Challenging Times. Welcome.
Thank you, John. So hello, everybody. I'm going to pretend you're in the room with me because that's fun for me. I like to engage and make eye contact, and maybe one day soon we'll be able to be in this room. Maybe next time I'm here, I'll be seeing all your beautiful faces and we can smile at each other, but I'm going to smile at you, so hello. So my intention tonight is to show you what is it that you can call yourself forward as a creative force in your life. And we're going to look at what's possible, how you can be a powerful influence and a creator of outcomes that you choose, prefer, want to wake up to, regardless of outer circumstances, because this year has been full of lots of outer circumstances, and we've had to do something about it. And we've had to become inventive, creative. The full title of my book is called Calm Down, Lift Up into Joy, Peace, and Creativity. And that's the title of tonight's presentation. And the reason that I chose to write this particular book, and it got completed before COVID hit, was because in the course of my 30-year career, I realized that people would come because they wanted to initiate change, they wanted to transform themselves, become more of who they truly are, make a greater contribution. And the first thing that we worked on was calming down. Because when we're disturbed by the circumstances in our life, we do what I call running around the hamster wheel of Hades. We keep running around these different negative feelings, fear, anger, resentment, disappointment, judgment, and we keep going nowhere fast, and we think all that activity is really useful, when all it really is going around and around nowhere. So in order to calm down, in order to lift up into creativity, we have to first calm down. And that's what children learn at a very early age. They learn to do what's called self-soothing. It's part of the maturation of a human animal, is to learn if mom's not going to come pick me up when I'm whimpering, that somehow maybe the pacifier, maybe my thumb, maybe, humming to myself will kind of quiet me, because that place of quiet is essential for our well-being. And until we learn to master the art of calming down, we become very reactive to change in our circumstances. And it's almost like the world, as far as I'm concerned, is challenging us to choose peace more intensely, because the outside is revving up as far as how much it's disturbing us, and it's like a constantly onslaught of disturbance, one after the other after the other. Now, we've all been through COVID together, and it's a wonderful example we can all point to about changes circumstance. We wake up one day and life is happening, and we have an expectation we're going to go into the next day and things are going to be the same. And what happens? We're all on safety at home, and we're homeschooling our kids, and we're learning how to do business from home. And we've had a lot of opportunity to be creative in the face of change happening. Now, I, for one, and I've taught here several times before, believe that life happening is a good thing, that it wakes us up out of complacency and it disturbs us out of our comfort, which means that I've kind of gotten sedentary in how I manage my life. Maybe I've fallen asleep a little bit at the wheel, or I'm unconsciously driving down the road, and life happens and suddenly I need to pay more attention. And I need to also learn how to manage the distress that's come with the interruption. So some people see, our points of view create our reality, not the other way around. So some people see life happening as, oh no, I'm a victim to circumstances. And then they start running around the hamster wheel of Hades, just thinking that that's a useful way to deal with change. Other people have a point of view that, wow, life is inviting me into something greater, which is the point of view that I operate from. Now, I'm not asking you to buy my point of view. I'm just going to share with you another way of looking at reality, and you can play with possibility if this might be useful to you or not. So I like to go, wow, and just to be clear, when life happens, nobody just goes into, whoa, that's cool. Life happening is upsetting, and that's part of the human experience. We get upset, and that's why we need to learn how to calm ourselves down so we could lift ourselves up into something even greater. And that's what I see as the possibility that's going on for all of us right now, is what can be even better than what we've known up until now. At first, people were going, oh no, the sky is falling. But look, it's a year later, the sky's still up in the sky. Theosophical still here. You're still there. Wow, how can it get even better than that? I love that question. I've just been introduced to that question. And it's just a fascinating point of view that, well, the question holds a powerful point of view. It's a point of view that I have loved. And I love that question now. It's like, wow. Something happened. How is this guiding me to something even greater than I've ever been able to imagine before? My first book's called Life Happens, What Are You Going to Do About It? And it's written purposefully to help people move out of victim consciousness, out of reactivity, into a creative point of view. Like, oh, wow, life just changed. I was in that sandbox playing. Now I'm in this sandbox playing. I still get to play with possibilities because this is where I am. So how am I going to engage with my new circumstances? And so I like to see life as my partner. Like it's bringing me flowers. And I never was expecting that particular bouquet of flowers. I've never even seen anything like that before. But thank you. I'm going to find a vase for them and see what I can create, if I can create something beautiful out of this gift. So learning the skills to be in relationship with life happening is a very powerful resource for each and every one of us. And to find a place to live in the blessings that are here, right now. Because life is not going to stop doing what it's doing just because we don't like it. You know, life happening is a constant. The thing that's available for each one of us to do is to learn how to be more facile and engaging when life goes left, when we were expecting it to go right. So I'm going to share a model today. I have a PowerPoint, and my friend Chris is he's just been absolutely wonderful supporting me with that. I'm just so happy to be here at Theosophical. John is such a warm welcome, and I hope that you feel my gratitude for the opportunity to be with you tonight. I'm really so grateful. I haven't been here since June because, you know, life's been happening. So let's imagine, just like I said before, that you're riding down the road of life, and you think you're going from here to there, and I'm guessing most of you have had the experience of that sound and that kind of thing that happens with the car when you realize the tire just blew. And so everything that had been apparent, the background of transparency, breaks open, and that's why it's called a breakdown in transparency. And everything that was taken for granted, the shoulder, the flow of traffic, becomes very apparent because now we have to navigate ourselves to the side of the road to safety. So it's called a breakdown. And go back to that moment of the sound and that lurching feeling in the car. What's the first thing that came to mind, if not out of your mouth? John, what would it be for you? Yes, oh shit. That is the universal cry. He didn't say it, he's being very demure over there, but we all know what we would say. Universal cry of breakdown is, oh shit. It's like, whoa. And that is just so normal. When I was learning this particular model in the 90s, I was in an international group and I heard, oh, mierda, oh shit. I mean, literally, it's the universal cry of breakdown. So it's like when you hear that coming out of your mouth, you realize something's happening and it's time to engage with this process and I'm about to share with you. So because you're an amazing human being that has an animal instinct, somehow you find yourself over to the side of the road and you're there safely. And meantime, after, oh shit, what comes? The mind starts going into its rant. Right? It starts complaining and disdaining and blaming and who's at fault for this fix I'm in? Why does this always happen to me? Why don't they pave the roads? It's that pothole. Why didn't my blah, blah, blah person like fill up the tires? Like, you know, blah, 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 stories and automatic assessments. It's just what happens when there's a break in transparency. So let's see, I think I do this. Blank screen, watch this. Automatic stories and assessments. So now I'm on the side of the road and I could either hang out there, I could be kicking the tire or throw myself on the floor. So, oh no, what am I going to do now? You know, and all the places our mind takes us, you know, when it feels like life's done it wrong. And that probably wouldn't be very useful since I was on my way someplace. So I have the opportunity to do something. And I wonder what that might be. So here I am at the side of the road, and by the way, I just want to pause and say, those automatic stories and assessments that arise after breakdown, when something doesn't go the way we imagined it was going to, each one of us has our own particular flavor of how we verbalize that disturbance. And I have found it fascinating to notice the speak that goes on into my head. I mean, some of it is conditional, it's conditioned reflex, it's been programmed in. Some people go to blame, some people go to, oh, poor me, why does it always happen to me, or I did something wrong. But there's an automatic trigger that comes in, and my experience is the more familiar I get with that, the more I can recognize it. And I realize I don't have to listen to that. It's just a sign that I'm disturbed and I need to move into the next step. So it's my opportunity to calm myself down and get off the hamster wheel of Hades and take action in one of the most powerful ways human beings, the most powerful tools a human being has as a resource. Now, I'm on the side of the road, I'm listening to Crazy Brain, and that's not useful. As a matter of fact, it's cold outside, and I don't like that at all. And so I go, well, what can I do now? Like when I was here last time, I did a presentation on the ladder of consciousness, and there's a key when we go from the hamster wheel of Hades and we lift up through the doorway of heaven. And it's when we choose to move out of reactivity and take responsibility. The ability to respond to the situation that's in front of us. So now I'm present, and I go, what is possible? What's available for me right now? What action can I take? What do I do? Now, I could ask myself to get out of the car and get the jack out of the trunk. That's not going to happen because I don't do tires. I could wave someone down. That's a possibility. I could call my roadside service and ask for help. So right there, I gave you the key to the power tool, and it's called making a request. Making a request is one of those powerful things we can do in our lives. For example, if I asked John, would you please get me a glass of water? He would, because he's such a gentleman, get up and get me a glass of water. And then, oh my goodness, voila. I would have water without ever having to leave the stage. That's magic. Making a request is powerful magic. And yet we don't do that. We don't allow ourselves the access to that kind of power. We somehow would rather stay on the side of the road than engage in asking for help. Go figure. Now, we've been conditioned in many different ways, and if you were here, we would play. I would ask you to call out what are some of the reasons you hold back from asking for help. So these are some. I'm looking at my notes here. If I ask for help, I'll be obligated, like I'll owe them. Help doesn't come free. I'll be in their debt. Then other people will know I don't know. That would be embarrassing. And therefore, I'd rather live in other people's opinions of me and stay stuck and hidden on the side of the road than get back engaged into my life. Sometimes people are afraid of imposing, oh, it's too much. What if they say no? God, I wouldn't live another day if someone said no to me. How about this one? When I was thinking about this today, suddenly what came to mind was when I was a little girl, it's like, no, I'll do it myself. And like somehow I'm a big girl if I can do it myself. Or real men don't ask for help or directions. So, that's all just really playful. But the reality is we have inherited points of view that keep us from the potency and the power that asking for help could give to us. And it doesn't have to be asking for help somebody out there. You can ask yourself for help. When COVID first hit, I needed to ask myself to get off my attitude about the mask and the lines and whatever I was doing because I wasn't enjoying living inside myself. So I made a request of myself, could we learn how to do this differently? This isn't going away. So that's just a little example. Today I couldn't find my glasses, so I was asking, okay, so somebody in there knows where I put them because you were there when I did it. So where are my glasses? Please help me find them. So I ask questions all day long. What is possible? Where did I put them? What do I do now? What can I how do I make tomorrow work better for me today? Or if that didn't work, how did I end up going to bed so late? What can I shift tomorrow so I have a better experience? Little ways, big ways. So I want you to just take a moment to reflect on your life as it is right now and find a place where you're perhaps stuck on the side of the road so we can make this presentation relevant to you. Because it's great to have a time on the internet watching your computer and it's entertaining perhaps, but isn't it better to leave with something that you can make good use of? So what's something in your life where you might be stuck on the side of the road that if you were willing to get assistance, your life might become more easeful? Now, isn't that a beautiful word? Easeful. That doesn't look very easeful. So interesting. Would I rather be live in ease and joy, or would I rather not let anybody know that I'm struggling? I mean, when we actually talk about it, we're kind of silly. And you think about not asking for help, how much it diminishes our well-being and our productivity. Because I'm not helpful to anybody on the side of the road. I'm not in my life, doing my life when I'm on the side of the road. And my well-being is pretty diminished when I'm running around the hamster wheel of Hades. So even it might be similar to you as when I ask myself for an attitude adjustment. Maybe there's something you can do internally that would lift you up into a greater consciousness and promote more ease in your life. Maybe it's an opportunity to forgive yourself for somebody else. Maybe it's a choice to be kind, patient, generous. I don't know, you know your right answer. Those are just some wonders. So think of something. And now, who would be helpful? Who might you ask? What would you ask, and who might you ask? Now, I'm not going to ask the woman crossing the street with her walker to help me change my tire. I don't think that would be a good use of her time or mine. That's why I called roadside assistance. But I'll tell you something funny. When years ago, it was one of those winters in Chicago, and people were skidding off the road everywhere. And I had the good fortune of whoopsing into a drift. And it was late at night, and I did call roadside assistance. And what else is possible? I mean, I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this gang of guys came up in an SUV, asked me if I needed help, pulled out a chain and yanked me out of the ditch and then drove away. I mean, sometimes when we ask, miracles happen and grace appears, and more than we ever knew that we could ask for could appear out of the darkness at a snowy night at 11 o'clock at night. So that too is possible. But we have to be willing to ask. We have to be willing to open up and receive. So I told you I've been working with people for over 30 years, and there was a time in my life when I was doing couples counseling. And not only couples counseling, you work with anybody, anytime, and you're working in relationships. And I've been so fascinated to find out how much time some of my clients spend getting counsel from their mothers, from their girlfriends, from their neighbors, and wondering why their relationship hasn't resolved itself, their issues. And it's like you don't want to ask the person crossing the street with the walker. It makes sense to ask somebody who's trained and is competent to serve what it is that you're looking to get help with. And sometimes I think people ask their friends for advice because they really don't want to step into the power to be the power that can change their lives. There's a way that we make ourselves smaller by dissipating our energy sideways into gossip and complaining. We lose our ability to make things better. We just get a temporary relief because we got it off our chest, but we haven't really addressed the situation. So it's wise to get help from someone who could help us make a substantial transformative change. Then I call that utilizing a network of support. And those are both our inner and our outer resources. So sometimes I really have to work with myself and utilize what's inside of me, what I have available, which to me is what grows me, is when I really ask myself to step up to the plate. And sometimes we have to reach out. So when COVID hit, I tend to be a person who's very healthy, resilient, I have great immunity. People get sick in life. I don't get sick. If I do, maybe I'll get a sniffle and other people will be down for a long time. And I've always been grateful to this body I have. And when COVID hit, unknown circumstances, so what am I going to do about it? So I called my health practitioner, excuse me, who's been my partner in health for decades. And I asked him for help. And because I got to the internet, if I try to figure it out myself, I'd go into crazy brain because this one says this and that one says that. And it's like, there's no one right, everybody knows what you should do on the internet. But this person knows my body, knows me, and I also can trust that he had spent lots of time researching, coming to his own grounded conclusions. When he read the internet, he knew what it was saying, and that's just not my domain. So I reached out to support, and here I am a year later, and healthy as ever, and didn't get sick, and I really appreciate my wisdom in that action to support myself. So that's another example. So we look at our network and support. Where is someone who's competent, and we may have to research that, because we're granting authority to that person. And that's a big deal. So that's a whole other conversation, but I granted authority to that man because I trust his expertise and his skill set. So we want to be intelligent about who we ask for help. This network of support is connected to your capacity for action. And the ability to take action is the definition of power. Powerful people take conscious, leveraged action to get to where they want to go. So back to your life. You may want to write these questions down. I love these questions. Just even the question, what else is possible? What would be helpful right now? What would contribute to the experience I'm having? Do I need outside help? If so, who, what, and how does it get even better than this? I'm always fascinated. I love my creativity, and because I engage in creativity with clients in my life. It's just like life is creative, and that's to me where the joy is. So I'm always loving around my house when I kind of come up with a better idea about something. And it's like living in the question, how can this get better? How could this be more easeful for me? How can I enjoy this more? It's like this ongoing questioning. I just started to realize that I'm continually in a question about possibility. And that's fun. So you don't have to wait to have a breakdown in order to create something better. You could just have the joy of doing something next. Because in truth, we're human becomings. We're always growing into more. And to me, when life is disturbing us, it's saying, do you really want to stay like that, or would you like to come out and play bigger? Just my point of view. So I've called my roadside service. I'm back in the car waiting for them to arrive. I was on my way someplace. You were probably on your way someplace when they told you to stay at home. So are your children. So now I look at my calendar and I realize I'm not going to be able to meet my agreements with what I have scheduled because I'm stuck on the side of the road till help arrives. So I reach out and I renegotiate my agreements. Now this is really important. We have to examine our commitments and explore what else is possible. Because human beings live in a network of agreements. We live in relationship. So if you imagine a mobile and there are those pieces hanging down, if my piece moves, the whole mobile changes. We're interrelated. So when something happens to me, I need to look out there and go, who is this impacting? And what do I need to do to renegotiate and create a new agreement with this person? This isn't trivial at all. And some people forget about this. They forget to tell you their vendor is not supplying something, and then you go and go, well, where's my order? And it's like, you wait till then now to tell me that it's late? I mean, I was counting on that because I have agreements. So this is really important. It's a whole other topic, making requests and agreements and renegotiating them. But I just want to emphasize how important it is that when something happens to you, it happens to other people as well. And it's our opportunity or our contribution to make sure everybody is attended to. And just think, when safety in place happened, how much did you have to renegotiate and restructure your life as a result? So one thing I want to say is not every breakdown is negative. Sometimes it's so-called negative, sometimes it's so-called positive. For example, say I'm in business and my competitor goes out of business. And now the phone's ringing off the hook, or the emails are exploding, or however way people talk to each other now. And I go, whoa, that's a break in transparency. How can I get bigger as fast as possible to accommodate this influx of new business? So breakdowns happen in a lot of different ways, and they don't always happen from the outside in. Sometimes you're the one that's the precipitator of change. For example, you're married, you have kids, and you decide you want to go back to school for a graduate degree. That's a break in transparency. Or you're single, you decide to get married. Okay, and now you decide to have children. You're the one precipitating the change in your circumstances. And it's the same thing. Oh, we're going to have kids. Well, what kind of utilization of my support, my resources? How am I going to manage this? I want to go back to school. How are we going to take care of the kids? Who's going to make dinner? Who's going to clean the bathroom? So I don't have to stay up too late at night after my homework. So let me just scan this. So COVID hit. Not too many of us went, wow, what else is possible? How can it get any better than this in the beginning? But if you look at the world in this past year, it's fascinating as to what we've created. I mean, everybody has a Zoom account now. I mean, business didn't stop, relationships don't stop, life continues, and we need to keep defining and designing new structures of support in order to keep moving. We got very creative. Creators move quickly from oh shit to invention. So some people move faster than others, and some people are actually doing great, and other people aren't. And I'm not talking about people who lost their jobs. I'm talking about, people who have the choice in the similar circumstances, how they're going to be in relationship to it. So I'd like you to take a moment to think about all the ways you've been creative, or got to participate in other people's inventiveness. Look, here I am talking to this camera on the wall because the Theosophical Society decided to keep going, and they got inventive about how they could make this work for them and everybody else. And here we are a year from now when they're still here. Yay, thank you. Aren't we grateful? And talking about gratitude. I write a gratitude journal, and yesterday I was writing in it, and I had such a deep sense of gratitude because I just started a class recently, and it's beautiful and deeply nourishing. And I had known about this particular facilitator for years, but they teach in New Mexico, and I never was called to do everything it takes to travel for the course. But now they're on Zoom. So it was I took it, and I'm so grateful for COVID for this gift that I've given myself because of the ease of participation. Also, I've been intending for years to be location-free, and when COVID hit, after a period of months, I let go of my Chicago office, and I've found other ways to contribute and to support my work in the world. And if I Could, I would do a happy dance for you. So there are so many ways I could be grateful for how I teach Zoom classes. I'm teaching a class on April 5th about the topic of creativity in the face of, you becoming more of who you want to be. I've been teaching it since August. Every 5 weeks, and it just keeps rolling forward, and people come in, and it's about, well, something happened, now what? Because I did it because I was irritated. I take action on my irritation. And I made a request of myself, instead of complaining about the complaining, because that's what I was doing. Everywhere I went, everybody had a point of view about the sky was falling and bad things were happening. And they were repeating what other people said, and about this is not the first, there's more bad stuff happening. And it's like, whoa, too much noise in the air. I would like to make a contribution and offer a positive possibility as to what this might all mean for us, but specifically to help people take charge of their focus and what direction they're choosing to take action towards. So I'm just loving Zoom. I do breath work on Zoom. People tell me they love it because they get to stay home and just do it on their bed. And it's just been so much fun playing with possibilities. So that's about creativity. And after Christmas, for example, everybody goes, how was your Christmas? How was your Christmas? Oh, I didn't get to, it's like, well, I bet you there was one thing that was good about it. And so then it was amazing. To the person, they lit up and they went, it was pretty quiet. I like that. And it was easier. I didn't have to cook as much. And we actually enjoyed Christmas Day. It was fascinating to see with a question how people shifted their points of view about what had happened. And again, our points of view create our reality. So if you're kind of miserable, what did you say? I'm the brain pain exterminator, helping you pull the splinter out of the misery-making mechanism of your mind. Because that's what we do. Our minds make us suffer. And that doesn't mean we're a victim to our minds. We have the power to change our viewing point, how we see the situation. So we ask, how can it get better? Instead of being habituated on what's missing, we can look at what's here. So gratitude is huge. Gratitude is the great transformer. You cannot be in judgment or complaint or any place on the hamster wheel of Hades if you choose to focus on what's good about this. Where's the gift here? What am I learning? What is this teaching me? How am I getting even better than I knew I could be? Coming in here, it's interesting. When I go back to a place I was before, sometimes that helps me see the change that's happened in the period of time since the last time I was here. It's just some ways I'm able to see my consciousness. And because, we change microscopically, moment by moment. Like if you were making a dress by hand, it's stitch by stitch. So it's not until you have some sort of perspective that I can see the difference. And I just had a sense that there's so much more ease in me, and patience and kindness and gratitude for other people that is different. It's different in a really blessed sort of way. So I'm asking again for you to pause and wonder, especially now that there's breath on the planet. Not only is the snow melting in Chicago, and we've had some beautiful weather, but the vaccine's out and places are opening up and possibilities are presenting themselves again. So if you can see how you've navigated the difficult times up until now and actually come out better than you even ever thought you would, the one thing about that is you can count on yourself that you can do hard things. You can do it. You have it in you. And that's a wonderful thing to know about ourselves. Because in my guesstimate, my sense is we're not going back. It's not going to be the same. And maybe that's really a good thing. In a lot of ways, I think it is, especially in this place of global awareness when we realize we're really all in this together. And those of us who are willing to participate in how it can get better, we're going to contribute to the future we're moving into by living in that question. How can it get better? What else is possible? How can I make a contribution to the greater good of all? Because these times, there's a lot that's moving on. And if you choose to be a creator versus a reactor, you can be a contribution to this war, first to yourself, always first to you. And then from the overflow to the people in your life, and then extended through them into this world. So I'm inviting you to consider how you can give to the all of us by being the gift of you more. So notice that all along, even though up here I'm asking, that's the power move to make requests, but we're always making requests. So we make a request to get out of the side of the road service is coming, I'm evaluating my commitments. When we ask something like, what else is possible? How does it get better than this? I mean, if you just said that out loud right now, and since you're alone, you probably could do that. And notice, for me, this whole field of energy on the top of my head opens. I mean, it's almost visceral for me. What else is possible? My energy looks up, and my ears kind of turn inward to listen. That's how it is for me. It may be different for you. And that question is really opening us up to something greater. That which is greater in all of us is that which breathes all of us. Our spiritual intelligence, our creative wisdom. So I have a story. I was coming down to my kitchen for coffee, my morning. And first thing I do is make my coffee, and I look in the sink, and there's this, to get the water, and there's this brown thing in the sink. And it looks like a big romaine lettuce leaf that turned brown. And I go, wow, I thought I cleaned up last night. It's a really big piece of lettuce, and I go, how did it turn that brown that fast overnight? And then I saw a foot. It's like, oh, it's a frog. That's the biggest frog I've ever seen. I mean, I've had little frogs in the house. I live in a rural, semi-rural area. Then I realized it was a bat. It was sleeping. It was sleeping in my sink. Wow. That was intense. It was like, I'm alone. I'm not going to leave it there. And also I have images of Hitchcock, or the bats like pulling out my eyes or whatever the creative imagination was pulling out of its memory banks from a movie I saw. So I calmed, and they didn't stay very long because, I had this amazing power of presence there. And I realized what I was doing is asking, well, how do I get rid of this thing? What's possible here? What am I to do? I mean, it's like that's all that I could do in the moment, because I never took a sleeping bat out of my house before. I had no reference points. And all of a sudden, this idea just descended upon me. It just came upon me, and I had a visual of what to do, which was, I have this sink rack to protect the bottom of the sink. And so I backed up because I wanted to see if it was on attack. It's daytime, I was sleeping, like Dracula. Backed up to my sliding glass door, I opened it, and I come back and I grabbed a dish towel on the way to the sink, and I threw it over the back, picked up the tray thing, backed up, ran out of the sliding door and dumped it, and then closed the door and ran back into the house. Ta-da! It was amazing. And 3 hours later, the thing's still sleeping out there. How did it get into my house? I had the exterminator come over. We looked at holes. I mean, that was also a whole other process. But, I wouldn't be very resourceful to myself or creative if I started freaking out. If I stayed in, oh no, oh shit, oh no, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm just a girl, or whatever it is. Like, that's not very helpful. So I made a request of that which is greater than I know myself to be. I asked for help. And that's what happened. When we argue with our circumstances, we forget that we're the creators of our lives, that we're the creative source of our lives, and we have a partner. And that partner is that which, pardon me, my extricating idea. Those of us who choose to be cooperative with circumstances, we create a very different experience in dancing with the circumstances of our lives than those of us who are arguing with our circumstances. And in the past year, if you paid any attention to the media, you can see lots of different points of view, creating very different outcomes in experience of the reality that we've all been sharing. So these argumentative points of view are not very creative or resourceful. Mastery in life is not about avoiding breakdowns. It's developing the competence to deal with them effectively, because breakdowns happen. Especially, I'm continually looking for my glasses. And by the way, just as an aside, in case anybody else has that as a challenge, I learned that in Japan, this is just totally an aside, but it's really a good tip, that the train conductors, they say out loud what they're doing. And what they have found out is the accidents have gone way down, and they have statistics about that. So now, when I'm paying attention, I go glasses, table, so that I heard it, I saw it, and I said it. And I have been much better about finding my glasses. Just FYI, in case anybody wants to experiment with what else is possible instead of losing your glasses all over the place. So life's not about getting upset. Life's not about not getting upset. It's about calming down and engaging in creativity. And why don't we do that and have fun as long as we're playing? I mean, I don't know too many kids who are playing who aren't having fun. So why do we choose not to have fun with what's going on? We can enjoy the experience even if we don't like it. And that's not an oxymoron. It's really possible to live in joy even though we're not having the experience that we wrote down we were supposed to be having today. So at some point, we're back in action. The cars, so this whole process we're designing and implementing and creating new tools, technology, resources, and perhaps with my car, I'm not going to really invent anything new, but perhaps maybe get my tires checked more frequently. But sometimes riding over glass happens. But I could invent new ways of dealing with my disturbance. You know, there's always something new. Life can always bring us opportunity to become even more of who we choose to be, even more of who we really are. And who I really am is not, I'm an infinite being having a human experience. And as an infinite being, I really wouldn't care that much about having a flat tire and being late for an appointment. Really wouldn't be much of a blip in my consciousness if I was sourcing from the awareness of the truth of who I am. So again, anytime we're in disturbance, or for me, my tracking is, am I in joy? And if I'm not in joy, what's going on in my brain? Because I'm missing an opportunity to be really present in my life. Excuse me. The other day I was throwing up in the garbage and I missed, and I just started, I was emptying the waste paper basket in the garbage that's taken to the bigger garbage, and I missed, and it was all over the floor. And I went, oh, wow, how does it get any better than that? And I started laughing, and it got better. So even things like that, just how do I lift up into higher consciousness, and joy and laughter are part of that. And I could go, well, what can I invent out of a moment like that? Well, there's always an opportunity for me to call myself more present and not to be multitasking in my head, which causes me to, little things if I really wanted to make can bring me into greater consciousness, greater awareness, greater presence. And of course, like we've been talking about with COVID, so many things have gotten invented. I must have missed, I wanted to read this to you, but I must have missed it. So I've read that many companies have seen huge waves of innovation, new ways of working with people. People are connecting with each other in ways so they actually are looking after each other and looking out for each other. I mean, whether it's a company or not, but I really feel that. I really feel this place of care. My neighbors across the street, I just saw her the other day. We haven't really touched each other, hugged each other in a year, and it's like, wow, you know, are you okay? Are you okay? That's been going on all year. And so that's a beautiful gift that could be emerging from this experience we're having. You know, the goodness of people, the creativity of people. People are getting inventive. The willingness to make things work no matter what. All this has, you know, really woken up in a big way. So this, again, is to have us realize that just because there's a breakdown doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it good. It just makes it what's happening right now, and what are you going to do about it? And this is a way for you to really look at what a creative process could be for you. And just to honor yourself right in the beginning when you're upset, it's okay. How do you get back into action as soon as possible? You don't want to deny the disturbance. I mean, clearly the COVID thing was like, whoa, okay. But when you have a sense, well, how do I get back into transparency and what might that look like? That helps us move forward. Whenever we have a sense of what else is possible and we know that something else is possible and that we're going to be okay and we can contribute to that outcome, it's amazing how quickly we can move into action. That's another way we can support ourselves. So at some point, we're in a new transparency. With my car, I'm just back in the road. Maybe I'm going to my appointment. They were able to reschedule me, maybe not. But I'm back in action. That's the whole key, is to get back in action. And it doesn't mean there won't be another breakdown. Wait, here's the celebration time. Ta-da! Yes, we did it! And that doesn't mean there won't be another breakdown, right? Life is what's happening when you're making other plans. But when you get facile out of this, remember I said mastering life's not about avoiding breakdown, it's becoming competent in the face of life doing what it's doing. So now you know how to do it. If you want to take a screenshot of that, you can. If you want me to send you a handout, I'm happy to. If you have any questions, by the way, you can write to me because we're not going to have Q&A at the end. Happy to respond. And my email's leslie@lesliesann.com. So life's an ongoing adventure of creativity and action and choice and possibility. I mean, how does it get any better than that? I mean, when you have that attitude, everything shifts up. And from up, anything is possible. You can do anything from up, because up is who you really are. You are higher consciousness. You're just borrowing this body for a lifetime. So life changing's not optional. You changing's not optional. I mean, there's nobody in this room that's the same height as you were. Nobody in this room, that's right, just me and John. Neither one of us is the same height as we were when we were 5. Maybe 12. I mean, I'm not very tall. But, you know, the key to a happy, joyful life is to be someone who dances with life. And life's terms, to be a good partner to life. A couple of years ago, I don't know, maybe it's 3 years ago now, I started taking swing dance classes, which was just such an add-on of fun in my life. And of course, this year I haven't been taking any group classes, but I dance as a follow, which in this age of political correctness, it means back in the day, I am Ginger Rogers, and a lead is Fred Astaire. But nowadays, women are Fred Astaire and men are Ginger Rogers. Yeah, so I dance as a follow. So what I understand is as people get more skillful in the dance, even though the lead is leading, the lead will give the follow space for the follow to respond and give back to the lead. And even though the lead is still moving the dance forward, how the follow gives to the lead, I'm just going to use he and she. He'll give to her and she'll make space and she'll give back to him, and they'll create a very different dance because they're partnering on a very high level. And they'll create something other than just a robotic kind of performance. And I'm told that leads don't really have a lot of fun with a follow who, when he moves her to the right, she doesn't go or doesn't turn in the direction he intended. And so I actually take dance classes not only for the joy of it, but because I use it as a spiritual practice for all the ways I'm not following my spiritual inner direction. All the ways where I'm getting ahead of the game or anticipating what's going to happen next, where I'm in the future or I'm in the past judging because I didn't do it the way I thought I should have done it. And I can't be a good dancer. I can't follow. I can't really have the flow and the joy and the ease of the experience of dancing if I'm in the future or the past. I have to really call myself present. So I love this when I found out that how a lead and a follow really are co-creating together. Even though the lead is leading the dance, it's still going in the direction where the follow is contributing. And so you can create a much greater, more beautiful, free and flowing dance when you choose to be a good partner with life. And I'm all in for that. Now, I wonder if life has the same experience with me when I resist what life is leading me into, versus when I say, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I like that bouquet. Yes, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. I would love to go over there. Thank you. I wasn't planning on going there, but here I am. Yes, thank you. I wonder what's possible over here. I mean, it's just a fun way to be in life. Yeah, and we all know nobody dances like Ginger and Fred without practice. Even though I don't know how I ended up recently seeing the video clip of Cinderella, and this young woman's been living in the cellar for her whole life, and she shows up at the palace in this beautiful blue dress, floats down, curtsies, who taught her to curtsy, and then dances the waltz with the prince in a way that was, of course, impeccable. And that's a problem because we have a point of view that all we have to ever do is want something and it just happens, there's no work involved. So if you're going to dance with life, please don't expect yourself to be Cinderella or the prince. It takes participation, it takes showing up, it takes going left when life sent you right, and that's okay. It takes catching up with life so you could go in the direction it's sending you. It's not just this magnificent, seamless waltz. It's a process. Sometimes we don't recognize when life is opening the door for us to walk through. Come on, I'd like to take you for a walk. It's beautiful outside. So we all have the capacity to create beyond this reality. We can go beyond what's already happening in this reality because we're creative beings. We're not victims to what's going on right now. We can be contributors. What would you like to contribute? What is your gift to give to our circumstances right now? We're being called forward into something greater. At least that's my point of view, and that's how I'm choosing to participate. What's mine to give? How can it even get better than that? And what's yours to give? So again, I invite you to write to me with questions. If you have anything you want to address about today, I have a handout that I like to give to people when I'm in an audience that we go over. I'd love to send you that. If you take it and go through it, you might find a way to make this this one-way conversation we had today even more useful to you. So if you write to me, I'll send that to you. And if you want to check out the class I'm teaching, Calm Down, Lift Up into Possibility, you can go to my website, and it's under programs. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that program if you want to discover if it's a fit for you. So thank you so much for being with me tonight virtually, and I look forward maybe next time to seeing your beautiful faces in person.
Thank you so much, Leslie. That was lovely. And maybe you can hold up your book.
Oh.
They get a better. It's really a beautiful cover that people may see more clearly. And of course, it is available for
It's
purchase.
available on Amazon, and I'm proud my cover won it came as a finalist in a book cover award, which is pretty neat since it's only been out for a few months. But it's, got 5-star reviews on Amazon. People write to me, tell me that it's useful, and it makes my heart happy. This is one of the ways I'm choosing to contribute.
Lovely.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Leslie. Well, thank you to the audience. I hope you found that uplifting and useful. And of course, as Leslie said, you can follow up. Check out the website and her email and send her questions as well. With regards to the slide and the recording of the talk, that will go up on our YouTube channel, so it will be always available for you to review again at any time. Now, I'd like to invite you to join us again Thursday next week when we will have Sue Prescott speaking on filling the hole in the soul, integrating spiritual teachings and psychotherapy. I hope you can join us then, and until then, please stay safe and be well. Good night to you.